Yeah, the day of the finale reaches, we go. So the celebrations were the Afro DJ Festival. That's when, because Energy was like an official partner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they announced the winners of, the winning team, the winning crew that is gonna be joining NRG Radio. And I'm there, like, all looking bougie and nice,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I was looking, man, like that night I was looking so good. In fact, so guess what? That night there were a couple of artists and dancers, famous people that came from Nigeria, from South Africa, from like all those countries. They were all like, invited to come for the event because it was quite regional and all that. So surprisingly, when I reached the event,
Mm-hmm.
people thought I was some sort of like big celebrity from
Celebrity.
abroad. Great. Gawai,
Yeah.
awai ngawalo that you are coming to our because they don't know. I'm like,
Oh yeah, ulinzi
dude,
holiday.
that is a goodie. People are, like everywhere I'm passing, people are giving me way like, oh my gosh, like man, I
Yeah.
want to veil so they
Yeah.
quite tell. Kumbe nize maulide, I'm just there.
Yeah.
So
Mujevale, Mujevale, Mujevale. My name is Bane Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Ball Talk Show. Yeah, I don't wanna forget to hit record. I did that one time where I did a whole podcast and I forgot to hit record. All right, my brother, my guy. Welcome to the
yeah,
podcast, man.
thank you so much, man. I'm really honored to be here. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I messaged you that I've been following you, um, whatever you do, I don't even know how we got connected. That's the first part I wanted to like talk about. Like, how did we get connected? Because I know all of a sudden we're following each other on Instagram. Do you, by chance,
Yeah.
remember when you think we connected?
So I don't know if you remember, but so I first actually got to know of you, I think in 2021. So I was a part of the Media Challenge Initiative Fellowship Program,
Yeah.
and I think you sent in a video wishing us well or something like that when we had our radio week, our radio and podcasting week. So our trainer showed us a video of you saying hi to us and wishing us all these good things, welcoming us into the media world and everything. You know.
That's exciting. And that was my guess. And I wrote it down because I had some notes that I wrote down. Like, my guess was that's when, because I know you've been part of the media challenge initiative. And Ali connected with me. You remember Ali? And I did the recording of telling people about podcasting. And 2021, I was just studying, but he reached out to me. He's like, hey, would you mind doing this? And I love that. I love talking to people. So I was like, cool, yeah, I'll do it. And then I did it, and he showed it there. And that's when, so after that, yeah, I think that's when we connected on the internet. And then seeing you in the studios of, I don't know what the radio was called, but it was part of that. I think where you guys go and practice or do your training, and that's when I started doing that. So I started watching that. Although we had never communicated, I was like, oh, that's really cool. But it's cool that that's when it all started. I'm happy for that opportunity that you get to know about me. I got to know about you, and it's pretty cool that that's how we met. Yeah, it's been amazing watching your journey, and that's basically what we're gonna be talking about today. Because a lot of people out there don't know what you've been through, and I've seen that in my personal life where people see you on the internet, but they don't really know your journey, and then people will judge you based on what they see on the internet. But like once somebody follows your journey, it's kind of like them going in your footsteps to know what you've been through, to know how you got where you are and what you've been through throughout the journey. So basically, that's what we're going to be talking about. All the stuff you do and some fun stuff that might come up as we talk, but that's kind of the route we're going to take for this recording. But one thing I wanted to start with was Shaque, Bigboy Shaque. How did you land on that?
Okay. So so let me start by telling you, as a baby, I was a very big big child. I was a big baby. Uh, so a lot of times people used to tell my mom that you produced a bomb, you produced some grenade or something. Like, this is not a child. This thing is so big, it's so huge. Big chicks. I couldn't even walk, man. You know, even when I became a toddler, it was so hard for me to walk. I think, you know how kids walk early or anything. I didn't do any of that. I started walking when I was like, it was a late kind of walking.
Yeah.
I was that kind of big child, big and bubbly. So a lot of times they called me a big child, but I never really took it on. So there's a time when this song came out. Is it "You Wanna Chill with a Big Boy"? You
Yeah.
wanna chill with a big boy. You remember that song,
You want to
right?
bam bam.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So this the song really was, it was so popular here in Uganda, in Africa actually, let me say. And I think it was 2022 New Year's. The song was still, on TikTok and everywhere trending. And like at that point, I wanted a stage name. For a very long time. I wanted a stage name. I mean, people used to know me as Ishaqué Nsubuga, but then I wanted something that is a little bit different. So my best friend, she's called Michelle, just comes up to me and she's like, you're big, like you're a big boy.
Yeah.
So why don't you call yourself Big Boy?
Yeah.
And I think of it, I'm like, Big Boy. And then I add Shaque. I remove the I from Ishaqué.
Yeah.
Big Boy Shaque. And then someone tells me, but there's Big Shaque in Canada or somewhere.
Hey, there's one in
Yeah,
America. Yeah, I was gonna tell you there's one in America. Shaq O'Neal. He played basketball. He's huge. Like, he's big. So when actually that's the reason behind why I asked you that name, and it's funny because you explain it that way because this guy is like huge, and I think his podcast is called Big Shaq, and so that's I think that's what that's the one that we're talking about. Either Canada. I don't know if there's one in Canada, but I know definitely there's one in the States.
Yeah, so I mean that's how it started, and it was like a joke. So I go down to my Twitter, like, and everywhere on social media, and then I change my my handles to Big Boy Shaque, and then I make a post, and then I think I said something like, for 2022, welcome Big Boy Shaque. And it just went viral on Twitter because I have all these friends that are big influencers. They just kept on, just pushing it and pushing it. And before I know it, at my workplace, people are calling me Big Boy Shaque or Big Boy. And a lot of people ask me, but I mean, you're not that big. Why are you
You're
calling
right.
yourself?
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say you're not that big compared to the Shaq I was telling you about. Like, you're not that big. I mean, you're big, but like these like big people.
It's crazy, but yeah, that's how it started, and I think I like it. I don't even feel the need to change to anything.
Right.
I'm just gonna be Big Boy Shaque. Like, that's it.
I don't think you should change. I think I like the name too. Like, it's a good with what you're doing, like, it's a good name. Like, when somebody knows that, like, Big Boy Shaque, like, even when you work on the radio, like, you don't really have to be big to use Big Boy Shaque. Like, it's kind of somebody will even bring questions to people, like, why did he choose Big Boy? Like, if somebody looks at you like you're not that big, but then you use Big Boys, he'll be like, why did you choose Big Boy? So it's like a conversation starter. That's exactly why how I started my podcast, like, set off this podcast, because of I wanted to know why you picked Big Boy Shaque. So, like, anywhere you go in, like, that's your name. Like, you shouldn't change it. So I'm gonna become a US citizen like next week, and so that makes me an American. But my podcast is the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. So I don't think I'm gonna change the name of the podcast, like, from the Ugandan Boy Talk Show to like the Ugandan American, or like the American Talk. That's my brand name. I'm gonna keep the Ugandan Boy Talk Show no matter what happens in life. Like, so it's the name that I've been going with. So that's the same way. Like, I feel you should just stick with Big Boy Shaque. People know it. You've used it on social media. It's a brand name, and it's cool. It's a good name. So you should stick with it. So, like, what is your, like, school background? I like to ask people about that, because recently when I record with people on podcasts, like, I asked them about school, because I went to all my education besides after senior six. That's when I came to the States. But I'll ask people about their high school background to just kind of know. Maybe I might be talking to my OBO or something. Where did you go for like high
Yeah.
school?
Yeah. I think I'll first go to the initials. That's primary school. Actually, even kindergarten.
Yeah.
The very first school I went to for kindergarten was a Muslim school. So I'm from a Muslim family. I'm Muslim.
Mhm.
Very many people don't know that. I don't know why. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
Is
a
your
Shak.
Muslim name Shaq? Shaq is a Muslim.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the guy here in the States too is a Muslim, I think. Yeah. Because Shaq, yeah. Not very many people have that name in Uganda. Like, it's not very common.
Now the funny thing is, Ishaq is just the Muslim version of Isaac.
Okay. Aye, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
pretty much. I first went to a Muslim school for kindergarten, and I mean, I come from a very strong, like a very strong Muslim family, and they wanted me to study religion, to study Islam, to know my religion, and all that. Yes, I went to a Muslim kindergarten, and it was a bit harsh. I won't even lie to you. It wasn't easy at all. I'm at this school, and the sheikhs are very strict people. I don't think there is any religion that has people that are as strict
Yeah.
as the Muslim, Muslim faith leaders, the
I'm not.
sheikhs, the imams.
I'm not a Muslim, but I agree with you because I lived in Chiuli for a while, and we would pass by this place where the imams or the sheikhs were like they were teaching the kids, and like they were really strict. Like I agree, and I know a lot of Muslim friends, and I grew up with a lot of Muslim friends too.
Yeah. So I go to this kindergarten, and I think I only spent there just a couple of months. It didn't even go to a year, and I wasn't really being taken, care of properly as a child, as a kid. Kids are supposed to be. I mean, it's not even pampering, but they need to be taken well care of. They need to be fed properly, cleaned and everything. So I spent there just a few months, and then my parents just came to visit me sometime, and they just found the situation wasn't good. So I had to switch and go somewhere else. So they take me to another school in around Munyonyo Buziga. That's mild care parent school. It was new at the time, but very good.
Mhm.
It's actually it was one of the best schools at that time. I don't know about now.
Yeah.
Things keep on changing.
Yeah.
So I go to mild care. I be there for my for part of my kindergarten. I study from there the whole of my primary school. I want to believe I was a brilliant child.
Yeah.
I want to believe I'm still brilliant. I hope.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're brilliant, very good grades at school, disciplined. I didn't get suspended or expelled or anything ever at all in my life.
Throughout the whole. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never.
I didn't get
And I'm glad.
I didn't get an official written suspension, but I got kicked out of school. The head teacher just told me, "Go home. We'll call you back." Like,
Anyways, so yeah, I leave mild care. I go to now for secondary. I really went to a couple of schools. I might even forget some, but I no, like honestly, I was quite adventurous. So I went to there's a school in Kaboa called Kaboa High School. I went to Kololo. There's a school Kololo. I think it's either
Kolo
Kololo
High.
High or
Yeah,
Kololo.
Kolo High. I think I know.
Yeah,
I think.
Kololo High must be.
Yeah. Kolo High.
I mean, and in these schools, I would spend there just months and then like go to a different
What
school.
was the reason behind that?
I was quite adventurous and
Because if you never got suspended, if it wasn't for because I know a lot of people who get suspended are the ones who change schools all the time. Like they suspend you from the school, you go to the school. So like if that wasn't the reason, what was the reason to?
the biggest thing here is I came from a very good and well-grounded primary school. It was like an international school.
Mm-hmm.
So every time, like, I think, my relatives would decide for my mom that take the child to this school, and I would reach there and I don't like it there. Maybe they have certain things that they're doing, and I can't be there.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to my mom and be like, okay, you know what? Let's go
I
somewhere else.
don't like the food.
I don't like the food. I don't like, there are a couple of things.
Yeah.
And And some of these schools were actually Muslim schools, and they always have you have to wake up so early.
Mm-hmm.
They beat you up to go
For
out and do
preps.
swala. If you don't
Yeah.
pray, my friend, you're gonna be beaten like every time. So a lot of things, honestly. So every time I wouldn't want to, to be in the space, I'll tell my mom properly, and then she'll be like, okay, now where do we go? And then we'll get another school. So, yes, I said Kololo. I think for Kololo, I was there for like only 2 or 3 months, and
Do you remember why
I was
you
done.
remember the reason why you didn't like Kololo?
Kololo was a very rowdy place.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's in the middle of the city. It has very many of the students that used to go there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were thugs. It had so many people that would, they were bullies. They were always like trying to,
Yeah.
like find some trouble, and just like I saw a lot of kids being beaten up,
Yeah.
or things would happen. For some reason, I kept myself out of that trouble, but I was afraid something
You're
might
gonna be a
happen to me
victim. Yeah.
sometime.
Old Kampala is like that too. Like middle of the city, and kids form all over, and they do a lot of like crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think what made matters worse sometime was I think there was a time when something happened in the city, and then tear gas
Mm-hmm.
found its way into the school.
Mm.
And when I saw tear gas, I told my mom, I'm done. I can't.
Yeah.
Why am I gonna be in a school that has tear gas? I mean, tear gas, kids are crying. I mean, it didn't reach me because our classroom was somewhere a little bit distant.
Mm-hmm.
But like it just happened, and it was the time when I don't know if it were elections, or it was elections or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something was up. Definitely something was up in the city. But yeah, tear gas happened, and that was it. So I left Kololo, and I went to another school in Kawanda called Bogo Mixed Secondary School.
I know
So
my cousin went to that school. I don't know if you know.
yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot of kids. My cousin went to Mbogo Mix. He was a soccer player, Jonathan Mudova. Jonathan.
mm,
He went to the
I
Mbogo
might
Mix.
I might know him by face or something.
Yeah.
So I go to Bogo Mixed Secondary School. Now that's when I was in senior two, third term. I went there, I think in third term or second term, something like that. So I go to Mbogo. I be there for for the rest of senior two up to senior three. Now in senior three, a strike happened
Yeah.
at Mbogo. I mean, you shouldn't even be surprised. We're talking about Muslim schools here. Anything can make the kids, strike and just be trouble. We had the feeding wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers would always find a reason to beat you, even for the smallest and most minor things. They would cane the students. So it was really bad. So a strike happened, and for that, Pombogo, I really wanted to be there. Honestly, I kind of had, adapted to the whole lifestyle there. I was a prefect. What was I doing? I was a prefect.
What was your
I
post
think
as
I
a
was,
prefect?
yeah. I was a prefect. I think assistant information prefect or something
Okay.
like that, because I was part of the news club. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when the strike happened, my parents were like, okay, you know what? We're done with Bogo. I really felt bad.
Oh yeah, because you liked Mbogo.
Yeah, I liked Bogo. My friends were there. I think that's the first school where I had really gotten, kind of popular. I'm like kind of a minor celebrity at
Yeah.
school, and then I'm like, man, I'm gonna leave all this, my fans.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I live in Bogo, and they take me to a school that I didn't want to go to. Now, this was a Catholic school. Yeah, so imagine the switch from Muslim
Muslim to
to
Catholic.
Catholic
Yeah.
school. First of all, at Bogo, I was doing a subject called Islam. Islam was, it wasn't compulsory, but if you were a Muslim, you had to do it.
Right.
So I was doing Islam. I go to a Catholic school that doesn't have Islam, and I have to fit in. And then for them, CRE is compulsory, Christian Religious Education. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was so hard because I had never done CRE in my entire life.
Yeah. You didn't even know what the heck
And
is about.
it was crazy. It was crazy. But then, yeah, I found a way to fit in. And I think that
What's the name of the
students,
school?
Saint Denis Sebugwao. I think he's a martyr or something.
Okay.
So yeah, I go to Saint Denis. Yeah, it wasn't really that favorable at first. The kids would look at you as someone who's showing off. I mean, you're from the bigger school, you've come to now a smaller. I settled in. I think my mom was friends with no okay my family actually, because even my grandma knew the head teacher of the
Yeah.
school.
Okay.
So they were friends. They had, that whole family friends thing going on, and the head teacher had her eyes on me all the time. So
That can be a blessing and a disguise sometimes. Because if somebody know, I like to be in a place where nobody knows me and just kind of hide under the radar, like you do stuff. And but I was gonna say, like from that experience, I went to a Catholic school too, and you shared two things that connect with my story too. Like it's a school that I left that I really loved. I mean, it's opposite of yours because you went to the school that you didn't like, but I went to Chisubi Mapera. It's on in Tebe Road, and it's a Catholic
mm,
school. That school, you have to go to the mass. Like they beat you if you don't go to mass. And I'm not a Catholic, so you have to go to their mass. You have to like they are so strict, but the school life was fun. I loved the school. I made a lot of friends. But in Form 5, me and my buddy was like, nah, enough of this. We should go to a different school. So we made out like we're gonna go to a different school. So in the holidays, I convinced my parents how bad the school is. I was like, I can't go back to that school. And then my friend had to do the same thing to his parents. But his parents said no, and my parents said yes. So we split up, and I was mad about that because if I knew that his parents said no, I would convince my parents to say no, so I can come back to school because I didn't want to leave all my friends. But I ended up changing school, and my friend going back to school, so we split up at the point.
yeah. When you talked about the mass, I remember now the mass, the rosary, the
Oh,
way of
Rosary.
the cross.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, they have one in like May, something May, and then I think in November, the month of the Rosary. Dude, we would stand for like 2 hours just reciting the Rosary. Hail Mary, full of grace. Like you go through the whole thing. I'm like, oh my God.
I know, I know. So yeah, the school. I mean, I found my way through it. I honestly, yeah, there were all those, hard things, all those hardships and everything, their religion, but like I found a way of, adapting. We have to adapt to
Hmm.
situations in life, honestly.
That's true.
And I'd met some good friends. So I was there. Yes, I finished my O level from there, and I actually went back for A level. I felt like if I go somewhere else, it might be a little bit harder for me to settle in. And these are like only 2 years. I have to really do my best to excel and get what I want out of it. So when I was in my A level, when I came back for A level, now my younger sister was joining senior one,
Yeah.
and they brought her to that school because she wanted to be in the same space as me,
You.
you know. So they bring her on board, and I just kept on telling her, why don't you go to a different school?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't that good. I don't think you would like it here. But then she wanted to be with me, so yeah, she was brought on board, and yeah, it was good because I feel like my younger sister. I mean, I'm obviously older than her, but she's way more responsible. I don't know. You know how you have that younger sibling who's like I don't know. She has like that big sister
Hmm.
aura around her,
Yeah.
yet she's younger than me.
Yeah.
So so she I want to believe she took care of me when I was at school.
Hmm.
She would always check on me. I mean, if I have something, and then she had very good financial habits. Like she would spend her money wisely. So sometimes you're out of cash, and then she asks you, "Oh, you don't have money? It's cool. Let me give you some money."
Yeah.
Oh, you want this? What do you want? So she kept on like really being that good person around, like my best friend in school.
Hmm.
Um, but then I had to finish before her because I mean she had to continue. She was new in high school. So when I finished, she also went to another school now
Okay.
because she didn't want to there. She didn't want to be there without me. But yeah, it was a very good school. So in my A level, I did the subjects I studied. I studied. Now, guess what?
Hmm.
I told you that I was new to the whole CRE,
Yeah.
Christian Religious Education.
Uh-huh.
Now, I studied it so well when I was finishing my O level. I had a distinction, a D1.
Wow.
Then I also had a D1 in literature, in English. Then I had what was the other? No, I didn't do fine art. Did I? I think I did. But yeah, anyway, like I went to N level, I did literature in English. I did
Divinity
fine art as well. Yeah.
and
Then plus divinity.
wow,
Divinity is like
CRE.
CRE, but
Yeah.
you know the advanced kind of.
That's crazy that you did that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for my listeners, like people who are listening to this podcast in the US, I know they don't know what our like classes and stuff are like, but like what like Shaq is talking about, and like two religions, like being a Muslim studying Christianity, it's like you being a Christian and you go to study Islam. Like it's totally two different things. I mean, there's a little less similar with the names, like we talked about earlier, like Isaac and Ishak, like stuff like that. But like when you go to study the whole curriculum, like it's totally different. And it's not easy at all. So for him to do that in like A level, which is the advanced level, as like a subject, it's pretty cool. Like it's not a lot of people can do it
Yeah.
and pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't gonna do
Yeah,
it, but then I have this uncle who told me when you go to A level, you have to do what you did best. You
right.
have to do something that is going to make you get the good grades. And
Yeah.
of course, we're looking for the good grades. And if it takes me to the career path that I want, then, you know, why not?
Yeah.
So you have to ignore all the, you know, religious biases and all these things that people talk about. I think for me, as a person, like I respect every religion, honestly speaking.
Right.
Like many of my friends are Christian, many of my friends are Muslim, many of my friends don't even believe that God exists. But
Right.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to be open minded as a person. That's how you can live best.
Yeah, and that's how I am too. Like I'm a Christian, but like I said, I have a lot of friends who are like Muslims. When I was in Uganda, I lived with my Muslim friends that would pray in the house where we lived. I didn't care anything. I even went to a mosque one time to just escort my friends and just go there just to be like company, and they would go to church with me. Like we just lived like a free life. We don't care. Like one of my big Muslim friends, shout out to Huzaifa, he came and helped us build the church, like our church. He was there, like build. We have that relationship of just like we don't care. We're still human beings, and we still care about that. You touched on one uh, subject that you did. Kind of gonna lead us to the next segment of this conversation of like how you got into radio. You are the radio king. I've seen that on your um, profile anywhere. It's good to claim that and to know that you are king. You are the best in what you do. As long as you're very first supporter, not somebody else is not gonna give you the title, but you give yourself that title to claim it and show other people that yeah, this is what I believe I do best. But how after your school, or even if it started while you're in school, how did you get the love for radio, and what was your beginning journey for the radio?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because I I wasn't that in love with radio at first. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a TV presenter.
Okay.
I wanted to work on television so bad that I kept on trying every other time. In fact, even when you look at the co-curriculars that I did in school, I did a lot of debate. I did a lot of poetry. I was a poet before I became anything else. I did a lot of what else? Quiz. You know, all these things that make you very eloquent and confident and, you know, very comfortable into public speaking, into, you know, that just build your self-esteem as a speaker, as a person.
Right.
So I did a lot of those things in school growing up. Now, I wanted to work on TV. I didn't want to work on radio. That's a fact. And I remember this one time when I was in senior four. Um, I tried to apply to work for one of the local TVs here, one of the local channels here in Uganda, and they refused to hire me. And their reason was because I was young. I think I was 15 or 16. And they told me, no, we can hire you on short-term, you know, basis because you have to go back to school and all that. And I understood. I was like, okay, easy, cool.
Let's stop there a little bit, because this is why I love podcasts. Podcast is not like air time like on radio time, or we're supposed to finish the show at this time, and or a TV show. on a podcast you can talk as long as you can, and I want to dissect these things because you talk about something really important that I really love, and I talked about it a few episodes ago about somebody telling you no. And I like to share my own experience with somebody because we are talking about this, and I know a lot of people out there are going to listen to this episode, and I want my podcast for people to learn something from it. Like, we have a lot of fun laughing and all that, but like lessons, life lessons. And when you say their reason was because you're young, I applaud you to be 15 and feeling like I'm ready. I want to go do that. Like, nobody forced you to go apply for that. You say, you know what, I want this. This is what I want. For them to say no because you're young, it's also like the same thing as people saying no because you don't have experience. And I'm assuming at 15 you've never worked on any TV. That was be your first one,
Yeah.
so you don't have experience. And this goes out to all the CEOs there, whatever. When somebody takes the courage to apply, give them a chance, whether they have experience
Yeah.
or not. If that person doesn't match the level you want, you help them out. And if they still don't match it, let them go because they have failed. But I hate it when somebody says no right at the beginning of the application before even giving somebody a chance to even try it. And that's where my
Yeah.
problem is at. So to everybody, people, when they tell you no, are going to say like no means next opportunity. And that's why they end also. Like if somebody
Yeah.
says no, try somewhere else. But I wanted to pass that message out there because we've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of people saying we want somebody with 15-year experience, and here comes a 15-year boy who wants a job, wants an opportunity. Like, people should consider that and give these people an opportunity. And when that person can't match that, because there's a lot of talent that's been killed by just saying no. Sorry to cut you short, but
Yeah.
I wanted to put that across there.
That's actually true. And the thing is, when you reject, when you refuse to give an opportunity to someone who's like 15, sometimes it demoralizes them. It makes them feel like they're not good enough. Because I think I felt that for a while. Though I want to believe my positive thinking really helps me a lot when it comes to such thoughts. So yeah. Anyways, I I thought to myself and I was like, okay, you know what? It's cool. I'll get something else somewhere. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's the first time I'm trying out something. So that was in senior four. So I go study my senior five. Then I think it must have been senior five or senior six. That's when there's a new channel, a new television channel that is part of UBC. It's called Magic One HD. I don't know if you've
No,
heard
I
of
don't think
it.
I've not had it.
Yeah, it came around in like 2017 or 18, and these people, when they came on board, they were looking for presenters. They wanted people to submit videos, demos when they're trying to do shows and trying to present their ideas to them, and to pitch themselves as presenters. And I did that with some of my friends. So we were five, and we all had the TV dream. We wanted to work on TV. We were very young, fresh, and excited. So we recorded a very nice demo, and after recording it, you had to post it on your socials. No. You had to send it to them, actually. You had to send it to them, and then they post it on their socials, and then you get your people to go and like the video. And the
Okay.
videos that get the top likes, the most liked videos are the ones that stand the higher chance of getting the job, of getting the gig, of getting hired. So we did that. We were in the top, but it turned out that this was a scam. This wasn't real. So
Really? Did they ever post the videos though?
yes, they posted the videos, but I think they were looking for traffic on their social media pages because they
Got
were
you.
new.
Oh, that
Mm.
makes sense, huh?
So
Huh.
yeah, it was very bad, man. It was quite hurtful, like, to us
Did you have to spend any
young
money
people.
or anything? Did they ask for money at all, or they just want a following and attention?
Just following and attention,
Hmm.
really. That's just it. So but then what happened was, we were five, but all the three other guys really got so demoralized and they dropped out of the dream. Like, they were like, okay, you know what, we need to get something else. We
Yeah.
can't just keep on doing this. So it's only me and my other friend. called Ivo, who just kept on, being positive and, we just kept on trying and believing that something good is going to come out of it. So I remember talking to one of the guys that I saw. I think I don't remember where I met this guy, but it was online. And I asked him how I can get to work on TV. I think he was working with NTV or something. And when I talked to this guy, he's right now we're friends. So when I talked to him, he told me, "Oh, there is this place. It's called there's this organization. It's called the Media Challenge Initiative. They train young journalists, and But then at that time, I was in senior 5, I think, still. So I mean, they train young journalists, but quote unquote young journalists who are at the university.
Okay.
So if you're not at the university, you can't get in.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
I mean, it was still, I felt the need. I had that urge to just get into it, but then I didn't have. There wasn't anything I could do at the time. I just had to study, finish my high school, go to campus, go to the university, and then study journalism, and then that would be my direct pass to the Media Challenge Initiative to get trained and get all the skills and equipped with all that's necessary. Yeah, I finished my high school, go to uni. I went to Kampala International University. I did a degree in journalism and communication, and then that's how I got to learn of the Media Challenge Initiative. Now, the Media Challenge Initiative has the Inter-University Media Challenge contest or competitions that happen yearly, like annually. So I participated for the first time. That was in 2019 when I was in my first year. I was, I was young.
Yeah.
I was new to the whole thing. No experience, no nothing. I participate, and there's there's this thing with universities and treating people that are new as the fresh. I mean, at that time, when you're new to university, the people that are in second year or third year or fourth year tend to bully you into believing you're not good enough.
They do that to everybody, even like senior ones in high school, like senior ones.
Yeah. So it was really hard for me to get into the competition because all these people that were years above us kept on saying, "No, you guys are new. You're gonna have all these chances. For us, we're leaving. Why don't you leave everything to us? You don't even have the experience. You're gonna make us lose. It's a competition." Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was. It was a lot, man. It was a lot. But then I found my way because for me, I always go for what I believe in. I go for what I want, and I do whatever it takes. So I was friends with one of the lecturers that was on the program. So I told him I have to be in this, man. Like I have to be in this. I deserve to be in this. I'm a student of journalism. So you can't bring all that to make me not be into it. I have to. And they gave me a spot. But of course, it was mine. It wasn't like the spotlight. But so I did a story. So in the competition, there's always radio, there's news, there's TV. So for TV, they do what's like news broadcasting, but for TV, there's writing, obviously, there's photography. There is videography. It's really a lot. It's a whole competition.
Yeah.
It has.
Was that the same competition that Hannah was in? Because I hosted Hannah, one of your friends, Hannah and Naitre. Okay.
Now for Hannah, she participated like years after. Because for me, I was with the Media Challenge Initiative earlier on.
Okay.
So Hannah is one of like the new fresh faces that have gotten into it like recently. So 2019 happens. I participate. I did a solutions report on climate change. I think what the theme was climate change and disaster risk reduction, something like that. I did a story on solutions. Then someone else did the impact story. So, but then surprisingly, for someone without experience, I didn't win, but I was. I think I was the second runners up or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was the second runners up. I got excited. So I had the chance because if you're runners up, you can apply for their media fellowship that happens the following year. But I didn't apply for the fellowship because I felt I was young, first of all. I was the youngest, I think, the youngest runners up or nominee or whatever you would call that.
Mm-hmm.
And all these guys were way older, they had experience, and a lot was going on. So I had the chance to apply, but I didn't apply for that year. That's 2020, actually. COVID time, I didn't
COVID,
apply.
yeah,
And yet there was all the time in the world. We were not doing anything, but I felt like it wasn't the time. You know that feeling when you're like, no,
yeah.
no.
It's not time.
So yeah, that happens. Now, even in 2020, I take part in the media challenge competition still. And then now for the other year, now 2021, that's when I applied for the fellowship. Now, before that, actually, I had started volunteering with them on MCI Radio. That's the Media
MTA
Challenge
was
Initiative
yeah.
Radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to see you a lot
And
on that. I used to see a lot of your posts on there. Actually, you hosted one of these younger models. I watched that Sharon Chiyimba. You remember her? Yeah, I
yes,
watched that too. That was pretty cool. Like I said, I've been following you all your journey, so it's pretty cool to hear all this story.
yeah, man. Thank you so much. So, I applied for 2021, but then I had like previously started working with them in like on a couple of projects. I would so I'm a voiceover artist as well. I do adverts, documentaries, and promos and
Yep,
all that. So
I'm gonna come to that too. I have a few questions on about that too.
yeah. So yeah, I get into the fellowship. Now in the fellowship, that's when they actually told me that, you're chasing this TV thing, but you have a good radio voice. And
Hmm.
I didn't know that, man. I like and then when they told me that, I was like, but yeah, you're telling me I have a good radio voice, but I want TV pretty much. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. But I decided to give it a shot, radio, and everyone that would listening would keep on commenting and telling you, yeah, you're doing well, improve on this and that. You can try to look up these people. So I just kept on doing a lot of research around it and just working towards becoming a better personality on radio, because I believe that sometimes there is something that we want, but we don't have the opportunities to get that thing that we want, and yet there are opportunities that are there that can help you to ground you into something that you want in the future. So radio was around at the time that I wanted to do TV, and I couldn't reach TV, so why not try out radio? And you never know, I'll get TV sometime.
That is
So
definitely right. That is definitely right, and I'm glad you hit on that point because it's in life people miss that step. Like once you miss that, like sometimes we are so focused to like this is what I want, and then you kind of blind out on another opportunity that you could take that would one time lead you to where you want to go. Like that's why there's no, not shortcuts, but I would say a detour. Okay, so the way a
mhm,
detour is like you're on this route, but in front of that road there's a road block because they're working on that road. But there's another road that you can take that will take you to your final destination without going in a straight line. So like it's not a shortcut because shortcuts sound good and sometimes they're not right, but a detour sounds better. A detour sounds better. So like you can take a detour, but and it's people who know my story, you know how I ended up where I'm at. Like I had a detour in my journey, but I ended up where I need to be. And sometimes even if you want TV, but you might be good for radio or like and like Christians say, like
exactly.
believers say, like sometimes we make decisions but God determines our steps and knows what we're good for. Like we might think we're good for TV, but then really you're really good at radio. Like and that they can work. Today's episode is sponsored by Dancesoft Gamers. Dancesoft Gamers is the leading distributor of video games and other consumer gadgets like the podcast microphone sets, ring lights, headphones, and affordable smartwatches, and many other cool gadgets. For these and more, visit their website at www.dancesoftgamers.co. That is www.dancesoftgamers.co.
Yeah, talking about that, as I finished talking about this, when I started doing the radio, I actually got a TV gig out of
Really?
it. It was Yeah, it was brief. Now, what's surprising is, oh my God, God has a way of doing things. What's surprising is I got to work with the TV that scammed us the other time. so I got to work with, through the whole radio thing because they saw me somewhere. They probably also saw me host some event because I worked for them for like 2 years. It was a gig that I did, but it was more, getting out there, doing all these events during COVID. And they did a lot of online events. At that time, that's when, events became more online. People had to vibe from home and, just chill. And this event is like live on TV. And yeah, the party is at your home, but it's on TV as well. So
Hmm.
that's the kind of thing that I did with them for a teens show. It was like a
Yeah.
teens show, and yeah, I was like, okay, so this is really interesting. I'm doing radio, and these people are already supporting me, and I've gotten so many other offers to work on TV. Just that sometimes I feel like no, they're not good enough. I
Hmm.
feel like I don't like taking up things just because it's there. I
Hmm.
always look at what it's gonna be like in the long run.
Right.
I don't want to take up an opportunity and then after like a month I'm telling you, yo, you know what, I'm bailing out and
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've gotten so many offers to work on TV and I just felt like they were not what I needed to do at the
Hmm.
time.
Sometimes it's good for your brand too, to protect your brand, because if you keep doing that, then it puts a bad picture on your brand. Like you go to this place, you weren't really ready for it, and then you leave in like 2 weeks, and you go to another place. So people will look at you like he's all over the place. But once you know what you want and
Yeah.
when you want it, that's always good. So I'm gonna bring you to how you landed the journey, how you landed to NRG Radio. But before we go into that, and I appreciate people listening in and listening to this podcast. Sometimes I schedule this podcast. I'm like, oh, we're gonna just talk for like 30 minutes, but the conversation gets so good, and you want to listen because you love to know about the person, and it ends up like going longer. But we touched about voiceover artists, and I've seen multiple people nowadays being voiceover artists. What does that look like? Because you're an artist and you're a coach of a voiceover. What does a voiceover person do, and how do you coach other people to do it?
Wow. Now, if I tell you how I started voicing, you won't even believe it. I didn't even know something like voiceovers or voicing existed at the time when I started doing it because I was pretty much, this child that used to watch TV all the time, and I was watching all these cartoons, and I just kept on imitating what they would sound like or what they kept on saying. And then on TV, I kept on, like recording my own renditions of the adverts or promos that I saw that are being, that were being played at the time. So when I kept on recording, my friends told me that you can actually do that. It's people that do that. At first, I thought that it was maybe a computer or some robot,
Sam,
something or some technology.
I
It's
was the same way too. I thought it was like people who do ads and stuff. I thought it was just find some random voice and just, I don't know. I didn't think it was people, like normal people.
yeah. So that's it. But then, so I started like I was doing that all throughout the years, let's say from the time I was like about 15, 16, 17, 18. So I just kept on recording myself and just imitating all these things that I kept on seeing, the documentaries, the people like Ryan Seacrest, the people like I just kept on, even the movies,
Yeah.
the movies that have these narrations, that part when it's starting and they're like over 2,000 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I kept on I kept on imitating them, and it just hit me hard to realize that, oh, I'm actually someone that can do voiceovers. So I got to attend some online trainings when I think it was during the COVID period when I was home, like for those years, 2 years home. I attended some online courses, some master classes, some trainings, virtual trainings mostly, because there are these, voiceover academies, but most of them are, not in Uganda. In Uganda, we don't have any,
Mhm.
pretty much.
That's why.
I,
That's
I
why
want to
I
set up
was
one.
surprised when I see people who do that, and I want to know like how they were able to achieve that, and that's why I asked you the question.
Yeah,
Like some of the things we don't have,
yeah,
like, but you want to know how somebody was able to get over that to be that person.
yeah. So the first gigs that I did in voicing, I used to record with my phone. I had this Samsung phone that had high quality sound. Somehow, I don't know how, but the sound was really top notch. So whenever I would be home, this is my colleague, very stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I would be home, I would just get my phone. And now people thought, I mean, of course, I wouldn't tell the client that, yo, I don't have a studio, man. I don't have a
No,
studio. So
no, you don't tell a client that. You say, I have it. I can do it. Just say, I can do it.
yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
So every time I would get a gig, I would wait when it's like, dead silent, like at night, silence, that kind of silence that there was nothing that would be hard. I would wait for that moment at night around, let's say 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. I would wake up, get my phone, get, like a handkerchief and put on my, like, down on the speakers of the phone, and then I would record, I would voice. Now, surprisingly, the voice would be so clean. It would be like studio quality. And every time I did that, and I would send to the client, and I don't know how I got blessed because, in sound we have things like there's like dead air, or there's, that there's those gaps, like when you're maybe your breath or something, like in the audio. For some reason, like those things never used to happen.
Wow.
Those projects,
That's
I
crazy.
don't know how it just happened. And that morning voice when you've woken up, you're just from sleep. It's so deep. So every time I did that, people were, oh my gosh, you sound so good. Oh my gosh. And then some people used to think I even edit or boost on the sound, but I never did any of that. So that's how I started out. I did like just a few projects for some friends of friends, some shops, some small scale businesses in town. They kept on giving me their ads and all that. So now after that, when I joined the fellowship, that's when I learned how to edit sound, how to record. That's when I got exposed to the whole studio setup, how things are supposed to be. Then I also got the chance to, I had the studio, the MCI studio to myself to record everything that I
Right.
wanted. So pretty much. But then now about the coaching, yes, I attended all these online master classes and all that. They exposed me to a lot in voiceovers. I got all this knowledge that I wanted to really pass on to people that are interested. And then also I have some other coaches, some people that have been in the industry for some time here in Uganda, in Kampala. And every other time that I have to record something with them, they tell me, they would coach me and tell me, no, now for this kind of ad, you have to sound like this. For this, you have to do this and that. So it just gave me the knowledge. And I didn't know at first, but then when I was at the Media Challenge Initiative, I started coaching people, without even knowing that I'm coaching them.
Right.
And that's when they told me, dude, you're actually a voiceover coach. And then oh, am I one? Okay, cool. So, so that's how I started, coaching, and
Wow.
it's going well. Right now, I can really coach anything, voiceover. If it's a documentary, a promo, like I can coach pretty much anything, and I'll get the perfect, take from that person.
That's really good. And like from what you've explained, like even if like from what you explained how you were able to make yours work, that's something you can share with another person. Like that's considered coaching right there. Like even that first step, like, hey, this is what I did. And like me, like when somebody reaches out to me, hey, I want to start a podcast, how did you start? I'll tell you my story. It doesn't mean that that's how everybody else did theirs. So like it doesn't mean that every voiceover uses some phone and put a handkerchief, but you did it your way and it worked, and you can teach somebody else to do it their way. And that's pretty cool. It's always good to pass on what you've learned. And we've been talking about this. So we've been talking for like almost now an hour. And one of the questions they ask in America when I go anywhere, it's like, how did you learn so English? Your English is so good. I'm like, dude, like everybody in America, everybody. So when I listen to you on radio, when I listen to you talk, it's like this dude has like some good English. It's not like he's in America or somewhere. He's in Uganda. How did you come up with your English? I know you mentioned about doing literature, and I know literature people were smart. I did literature for 2 days and I quit because it was It wasn't for me. I am a fine art
Yeah.
guy, and but like, how are you able to pull that off to be able to be fluent in English and this thing to still stay here, like you to sound like the way you sound on radio? Was it school? Was it something you did by yourself? I know you also mentioned about watching TVs and maybe that would pick up. How were you able to pull that off?
I think I've always been very intentional about everything from when I was a child. Now, this is something that shocks me. It doesn't even surprise me. It shocks me every time. I'm like, this intentionality. How on earth, from the time I was a kid. So when I told you I went to a really good primary school,
Mm-hmm.
it was like an international school. It wasn't an international school, but it was that level. When you talk about the curriculum, when you talk about if you look at the teachers that taught us, they were very eloquent people. I don't know if they got some of them from somewhere out of the country. Or, I don't know what they did, but that's the kind of education that I had initially as my foundation from part of my kindergarten, the whole of my primary school. In fact, I I want to believe that as a child I even used to sound better. I used to speak I used to speak better English.
Yeah.
But then when I went to high school and went to all these traditional schools, I didn't have good Uganda at all.
Hmm.
It's something that I've taught myself throughout my teenage years. Even my grandma, because my grandma wanted me to. Oli mwana Muganda, olina okubeera ng'oyogera olulimi
Ngwe
Oluganda,
Nsubuga,
olina okubeera ng'omanyi
oli
Oluganda.
mwana wa mamba. Actually, I think I've told you this before. Ndi wa mamba nang.
Yes,
My big brother is in Nsubuga. Nsubuga Benjamin.
yeah, man. So my grandma kept on, putting pressure on me. You have to learn Luganda. You are not white, so you have to find a way of, settling in. So yeah, but I think part of how I sound is my primary school, my foundation, basically my teachers. We used to have a lot of, even British, somewhere British, I think somewhere African, but maybe went to school there or something.
Mhm.
So it contributed a lot to how I sound. And, I think I also have a feeling, as a child, you imitate. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
As a child, you're gonna imitate your teacher in kindergarten.
Mhm.
You're gonna imitate. You're gonna try to sound like your teacher because they are teaching you, and sometimes they even ask you questions or they want you to repeat what they are
Mhm.
saying.
And like the
So
way they pronounce words is that's how you're gonna pick it up. Like that's how you're gonna
yeah,
learn. So
yeah. So pretty much. But then now, when it comes to my, I think like my enunciation, my pronunciation, my articulation, that is something that I've worked on because as a voiceover artist, I've always told myself that I am not just a Ugandan, a typical Ugandan voiceover artist.
mhm.
I am a global brand. I should be able to record a voiceover that is going to play in Europe or
Right.
in America or,
Mhm.
so as a global brand, you have to work on your sound. You have to work on your pronunciation. It has to be something that is global that anybody can, understand. Anybody can hear and know that this is what you're trying to
Mhm.
communicate.
So yeah, that answered my question. And there's a friend of mine. Shout out to Tracy Mimi. She works with what's her name? They do Sales Warrior. There's that guy Sales Warrior. I don't remember. But she speaks like Americans, and she grew up in Uganda. So I call her Muzungu. Even when I was still in Uganda before I came to America, like her accent was like that. So I call her Americana. Like even like the way she pronounces words and like the way she speaks when she's talking. So I call her Americana. I don't know. I don't think I've seen it either on your social media or anywhere, but I came up with this name Swagger King because every time I see your Instagram post or like you dress code, you at a party, so anyway, like you dress up. So I called you a Swagger King. Like, how did you pick pick that up? Like, I know you're in media now and you have to dress a certain way, but like, how do you come up with your
Yeah.
dress codes and all that?
So I want to believe fashion has always been in my blood.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I've loved fashion for a very long time. And now the funny thing is, I don't think there's anyone that I've drawn inspiration from. Like none of my parents, no one at home, like pretty much. But I've always loved to dress. I love to look good.
Mm.
Now, I think you also know this. When you look good, like it helps with your confidence. You are
Mm-hmm.
so confident when you look good.
100%.
So that's the thing. That's the thing, pretty much. So I love to look good. I just love to dress.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who loves art and fashion and respects the industry like so massively, I always have to make a statement.
Yeah.
Even when I don't intend to, it just happens.
Yeah. I know I like to give credit where credit's due. I know girls do a lot. If a girl sees another girl dressed up so nice, they'll be like, "I kind of care that girl. Clothes, can you mean yo?" I know that's like, that's not in guys. Like guys, when somebody just yeah, that looks good. Like where do you get a watch? Where do you get a sneaker? Because you like it and like you give the credit. But anyway, I
Mm.
saved the best for the last because it's big news and a person who has been following your journey. For me, when I saw it, was a big deal. Like I know it made a big deal for you, but like somebody who has watched you and now listen to your journey, landing the job at NRG Radio. I saw when they were coming out, and I think I saw when they were trying to get people to work at the radio, where they did the same thing you explained at some point, where they asked people to record their voices and then they will post it. Tell me this. I don't want to tell the story, but like, tell me the story of journey, like when the opportunity came and how it's going.
Wow. So, NRG, I mean, I love NRG. When I saw them coming to Uganda, I looked at them and I was like, okay, my goodness, this is my kind of space. Like this is so me. You know how you look at something and you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
I don't know why I'm not there,
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept on praying to God. I'm like, God, why am I not there? Like that is my kind of space. That is like everything around here is so me.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was still with MCI,
Mm-hmm.
MCI Radio. So I have a friend who had already gotten the job here at NRG. She's also she's also alumni from MCI.
Mm-hmm.
She was part of the Media Challenge Initiative Fellowship Program of 2020. She's called Sandra. So Sandra was already here. She already had a show, and I asked her, how because I think we had gone to inspire the current cohort of the fellowship class, and we had gone as alumni. So I talked to Sandra. I just pulled her and asked her like, man, how do I get into NRG?
Okay,
And then she told
I
me,
can imagine that in Uganda. Umuntu akoze kuingia energy.
exactly, man,
Yeah.
that is it. That is it. I'm like asking Sandra Banange, how do I get in? And then she tells me, yo, you know what? So people have to submit like the whole because they asked they were looking for presenters, they were looking for DJs, content creators, and social media managers. So she tells me, yo, there is this thing, we're gonna have these auditions, the contest. So right now, that is the only way you're gonna get in. And God knows, I mean, I've had a very bad experience with competitions. My
Right.
submitting, God tell you
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm like, am I ready to go through this hassle? Am
Mm-hmm.
I ready? And then she tells me, yeah, man, that's the only way. Then I tell her, you know what? First, go and ask. Go and ask. I mean, I'm willing to do anything if it's to come and record a demo, to come and see them and talk to them. She goes ahead and asks as well, and they tell her that that's the only way. The only way right now is through that kind of submission.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking like, how is it gonna look for a radio presenter working with MCI who has everything branded MCI, recording themselves a video talking about NRG Radio? Because in the video you had to be like, yo, 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 what's up? There's
Yeah.
something new in town. I'm talking about NRG Radio.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you post on your socials and then you apply. So I'm thinking, how is this going to look? How are my fans gonna react? How like am I not going to be looked at as a traitor or
Mm-hmm.
something of some sort? And it took me a week and some days thinking about that, and yet I badly wanted to submit because I'm like, I think I should. So anyways, I talked to my friends and most of them told me, no, Vichi, to submitting Gaba, Inzano Baba Fede.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are gonna, you remember what happened with, hey, hey, hey,
Yeah.
hey. Everyone is telling me their own take, and I got now confused. But anyways, 2 days to the deadline, I'm there, and now my and like I'm just there, like really my mind is blowing up. I'm thinking about all these things, but then at the end of it all, I'm like, that is my kind of place. So let me just give it a shot.
Hmm.
I mean, what's there to lose? And I think at that time, my old Instagram had gotten hacked. So my old Instagram got hacked. And I really got sad because I had really taken time to build that account. But
Hmm.
anyways, so the opportunity that I saw in that was I'm creating a new account that doesn't have many of my fans and followers. So that means I can post this video clip on this account and and then apply.
Yeah.
So God always has a way of doing things. So I post the clip on that new Instagram. I apply without even expecting much, really.
Hmm.
I'm like, Obaba is Uganda. They might say that this account has very few followers. No, we can't take him on board or whatever.
Hmm.
So I submit after like a couple of days because I submitted 2 days to the deadline. And like after some days, they make an announcement. Oh, yo, we're gonna be releasing because they got like thousands of submissions from.
I was gonna say like I have some followers on Instagram that I would like. I saw the same clip. I saw a lot of people making that audition like on their Instagram pages. So there was a lot.
Yeah, so they come out and they're like, "Yo, man, we're gonna be releasing the list of the top 100 submissions. Are you gonna be on the list? Let's wait up." And then next thing they released the list, and I was number 9 on the list.
Nice.
Now, guess what? Like the whole time I was doing this thing, I kept it top secret. I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I didn't tell my friends. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my workmates. I didn't tell anyone. I kept it to me. So then, of course, when that happened, they called us. They gave us calls and called us for auditions, live auditions here. And so that day, I think it was no, it was a Saturday actually. Yeah, I didn't have work, thankfully. So I come here for auditions, live auditions. I meet some faces that I knew, and I knew what was gonna get out.
Yeah.
but I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just let the world do its thing, whatever. So so I did the live audition, the first audition. It went well, quite smoothly. And then they after that audition, they tell us they're gonna release the list of the top 50 uh, people that auditioned. So they released the list of the top 50, and I was number 5 on the list. I don't know if they were ranking according to performance or
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing.
Just your name showed up on number
So
5.
yeah, from number 9 and then like
Yeah.
number 5, I'm like, okay, whatever. So now on the first day of auditions, when I came here, I told most of these guys that were already working here.
Hmm.
I told them, yo, we're gonna be workmates very soon. Wait up, we're gonna be working together. And then like most of them just kept on looking at me with that bombastic side eye, like, dude, like what the hell?
Yeah.
You're this confident, dude. You might even fail. They kept on giving me that eye, but I kept on telling them,
Yeah.
you don't know what's coming up. I'm coming. I'm coming. So, so top 50, they released the list. I'm number 5. We come back for live auditions still. We audition again for another stage. Now it just kept on becoming harder. The auditions kept on, becoming
What
harder.
do they have you do when you
Uh,
come for the live audition? Like, what kind of the small things like you have to do to show to them that you can do?
so so for the first audition, it was really smooth. They would tell you, imagine you're starting maybe a morning show. Like do something like you're on air, like you're doing this morning show, something like that. Or imagine a song has been playing and then like you're getting back on air. For
Yeah.
the first audition was simple things really. Now for the second audition, what they did, they paired us. Okay, they grouped us, not even paired us. So they would get a girl who's auditioning for presenting, a boy who's auditioning for presenting, a DJ, a social media handler, plus a content creator, and they would form a group of 5. So they formed different groups of 5, and they tasked us to create content for shows. You decide your own show name, your own ideas, your own everything, and then you come the other day. They gave us only one day, and then we also had to create content that is out of studio, that is just out in public, selling the radio station and everything.
Right.
And then like on Saturday we had auditions. So meanwhile, you're working with strangers. You've never seen these guys before because they made sure that they paired you with people. Okay, they grouped you with people that you don't know at all. So yeah, I get to work with these guys. Now this was my favorite. Like I don't know, these guys were so good. Like the first group they paired me, the first group they grouped me with, the first people that I got to work with, the girl that I was co-hosting with, she's called Christine. The boy who was doing the social media, the other person that was doing content, plus the DJ, they were amazing. I think like I've never worked with strangers and felt so comfortable in my
Right.
whole life.
Yeah.
So it was it was a smooth ride. We were all, when you're like you're all grounded. You decide no one is trying to like out compete or argue with anybody. Everything is just smooth. So we come back, we do that round of auditions, we nail it, and I mean we did pretty well. We didn't have any negative feedback from the judges, so we kind of felt like we were gonna advance to the next round.
Hmm.
So they're like, okay, now we're releasing top 30. Now the pressure got worse.
But it starts getting wiser.
People started getting scared. People started getting scared because I mean we always saw like I mean you had met this person in the other round. Next thing you know they're off.
Hmm.
So top 30 they released the list. We were the top two people. Me and Christine, my co-host in the other round, we were the top two people like on the list.
Yeah.
Christine number one, Ishaqué number two. We're like, wow, okay. Now, at this time, word had already gotten out. You can imagine
Yeah.
everyone at my workplace knows. Some people already think I'm working with NRG, yet I'm still auditioning. Oh my goodness. People come into my DMs telling me, yo, dude,
Yeah.
congratulations. And I don't even have the energy to explain to them that, oh my gosh, no, I'm still auditioning. So I'll just tell them, oh man, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Just roll with it.
Yeah. And then I kept on praying to God that, oh my God, God, please help me. I need to get this because if I don't get this, I'm going to get
Embarrassed.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
This embarrassment I shan't overcome.
Right.
So yeah, so top 30 we do another round. We still advance. I mean now for top 30 they also grouped us now with other people, like other strangers. So they
Hmm.
kept on like, reshuffling and all that. So for top 30 I worked with some people. They were fair people. They were not as good as the other ones, but they were fair people. We did something nice. There was some negative feedback, but it mostly came because of the chemistry, because I feel like we were like totally different personalities and we were yeah somehow I want to believe they always see what they're looking for in an
Yeah.
audition. So in the finale I reached the finale. Christine, the other girl that I was with in the top 50 group,
Hmm.
reached the finale. Like everyone that I worked with in the top, rather in the top 50 round, reached
Yeah.
the finale. And when we reached the finale, we had to do now live shows on air with audience, like real audience listening in, and judges judging us. And God knows what they said about us. Because, man, like we were in studio, and now imagine there is someone who has never been in studio. At least I felt comfortable because I've
Yeah.
had a similar experience.
Yeah.
Imagine someone who has been home all their life or just to the bar or something. They've never
Hmm.
been in a studio already, like they're sweating and like everything. The pressure was just too much.
Hmm.
But yeah, anyways, it happens, the finale happens, and then now reaching the time of announcement, I don't want to think or believe that I knew I was going to win because there were so many talented people that equally deserve the opportunity.
Right.
Yeah. But there's a way God makes you feel something in your gut
Hmm.
that something is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
There's a way because from the get go, I mean, when I told these guys that I'm gonna work here, I
You
was pretty
felt it.
confident.
Yeah.
Even when so yeah, the day of the finale reaches, we go. So the celebrations were the Afro DJ festival. That's when because Energy was like an official partner.
Hmm.
So that's when they announced the winners of the winning team, the winning crew that is gonna be joining NRG Radio, and I'm there, like all looking bougie and nice,
Yeah.
man. I was looking good that night.
I think
You saw the
I saw the
photos
yeah
with
I
me.
saw the pictures on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking, man, like that night I was looking so good. In fact, so guess what? That night, like there were a couple of artists and dancers, famous people that came from Nigeria, from South Africa, from like all those countries. They were all like, invited to come for the event because it was quite regional and all that. So surprisingly, when I reached the event,
Mm-hmm.
people thought I was some sort of like big celebrity from
Celebrity.
abroad.
Bigboy Shaqué, Ingideo from Canada.
Great. Gawai,
Yeah.
awai ngawalo uzanjua kabisa amani because they don't know. I'm like,
Oh yeah, ulinzi
dude,
holiday.
yeah, these are good. People are like everywhere I'm passing, people are giving me way. Like, oh my gosh, like when I
Yeah.
want to veil sele kwa
Yeah.
cheo. Kumbe nize maulide, I'm just there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, they make the announcement. I'm announced Radio King, and this, I mean, I was very excited
Yeah.
about it.
That's
But
amazing.
I have this thing within me. Like I'm somebody that feels a lot for the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy I won, but then I kept on like it was a very strange night. I'm seeing like some of the contestants crying, some like really heartbroken and everything, and it's like really strange and weird energy around. So I was very excited, but I'm somebody like I told you, like I feel a lot for the people around me.
Yeah.
So I had all these feelings of like, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, but all these guys also really deserved,
Mm-hmm.
something nice out of this. But yeah, God always does His thing.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing to hear your journey. And the reason why I do all these podcasts and I sit down and people, I don't know, some people, I have a belief that if somebody doesn't want to listen to it, it's not meant for them. But like for you, telling your story like that, a young child or a young Shaq is gonna be listening out there and it's like, oh, this guy did it. I can do it too. Like, I can make it. And it's really exciting to see a person. I don't know. I've not met you personally, but like having the following on social media, and we talked about how we connected in the beginning. You see that these connections come for a reason. Like you never know what's going to happen down the road, but like following somebody's life. And I'm happy for you. And I know you just landed on a show, Breakfast Club, in the morning. How is that?
Yeah,
How is
yeah.
that? How are you excited about that?
Oh my gosh, yo, my guy. So I love my show so much. It's the Energy Breakfast Club. We do it from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mondays to Fridays. Now the trick or the hardship comes with waking up early, man. I have to wake up. I have to be up every day from Monday to Friday at 3:30 a.m. I have to be up and preparing because my driver picks me up at like around 4:30. So I have to be at work by 5 a.m. for prep of the show, and then the show starts at 6 a.m. Man, like
Yeah.
it's a very big transition from my usual like pattern, my usual routine of
Yeah.
waking up and everything. But I'm loving the process because I'm working with very energetic people. I mean, look at Prim. She is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I
And
f-
then even Christine. Now Christine is my co-host on the breakfast show as well. And she's the girl that I did the auditions with in the top
Really
50.
nice. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the picture of all the four of you. Um, I'm yet to tune in. I'm not gonna lie at you because the time zones are really like different, like to tune in.
Mm.
But I usually follow your guys' social media and see all that. But one time I'll catch that time because I think 6 a.m. I use guys' time. I'm usually sleeping. I'm in like bed because of the times different time
Yeah.
zones. But like if there's anything pre-recorded or anything, I'll usually catch it up on your guys' social media. But I'm excited for your opportunity to get to work with those people. Prim, Kristen, I think I on that list I knew you and Prim. Those are the only familiar faces I knew. The other two guys I wasn't so familiar with them, but now I know Kristen because you've talked about her on here. But yeah, I'm excited for you, man. The sky's the limit.
Thank you.
Just go for it. Sky's the limit. You're
Thank you,
doing
man.
great. I'm proud of you. I like to see other people succeed. I might not know you personally, but I'm actually planning to come to Uganda. So when I come to Uganda, I'm gonna try to meet all the guys that had on the podcast to just kind of meet them in person and just build that. I know
Yeah.
the podcast has helped me to connect with people, build friendships, and now I want to have those physical relationships with you people. So, but I have a few questions I want to ask
Right.
you. These small questions, and you can give me short answers for them. But what has been a life lesson you've learned in life to this point?
The biggest life lesson that I've learned to this point in life is, you know, sometimes you just have to let life life do its thing.
Right.
I believe we are not patient enough. I personally have learned patience over time. That yes, you might want something, you might really badly need something, but you have to. I mean, you can do whatever it takes for you to get what you want, but then let life do its thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
God always knows that something is going to find you when you're ready. Because I want to believe if NRG Radio phoned me last year, I don't think I would be good enough for it, or
Mm-hmm.
I would be ready to to assume all these responsibilities that I have right now. So yeah, just let life do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient. Patience is very important. It pains a lot. Oh, God knows.
Yeah.
I am not so patient, but I am learning.
Yeah. The other question is, what gets you excited about life?
Uh, I'm a very excited person, like
Yeah.
pretty much all the time. I'm very vibrant.
Yeah.
That's one of my strong attributes. But what gets me excited is to see how things build up, how how good things just keep on happening, how my life keeps on blossoming even when I didn't know something is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, good things keep on happening, and yeah, it just keeps me excited and
Yeah.
knowing that yeah, I actually have a chance to become the person that I want to be.
That's amazing. My final question is a signature question on the podcast, and this question is, who would you like to see on my podcast next as a guest? And you're gonna have to help me find this person to be my next guest on the podcast.
Okay. Wow. So this is actually, I don't even have to overthink this. My co-host Prim, you know, Prim has done radio for over 10 years. She was at Galaxy for 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I feel like you guys can talk about a lot of things. How she's managed to build her brand. She's a very strong radio personality brand here in Uganda. Here
hmm,
in Kampala, everyone pretty much loves her. She connects with the young people so well. She has she has that young and very strong and spirited aura around her. So
yeah.
she would really make a good uh person on the podcast.
It's funny because if you had given me another person, I was gonna give you a task to find Prem. That's the next question I was gonna say. If you had given me another name, I was gonna say I'm gonna give you another task to find Prem. But I'm so happy that that's the person you recommended because I was like, I would
Yeah.
really love to sit down with her. And I've followed her journey too. I was listening to Galaxy FM. I have a few friends who worked there, and when she was leaving and all that stuff, and even her life, personal life. So it'd be really cool to sit down with her and have a conversation. So you can connect me with her, and then I'll definitely reach out with her to send an official request or invite for her if it's something she's interested in, and then we'll have her on the show. But once again, Shaq, I appreciate your time and thanks for being on the podcast. Basilang bagamba alhamdulillah. Bismillah. Whatever.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. One of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So I really appreciate you, and let's stay connected and keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Peace out, my brother.
Okay.
Bye. Hey there, this is Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with a friend and recommend somebody to this podcast. Don't forget to leave a feedback on this podcast because that's how we grow. And also don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. Join us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So we would love to hear from you. Thank you very much and be blessed.